Illini fans knew that this year's basketball team could be special, but on Saturday, the whole world acknowledged it.
You are Locked On Illini, your daily podcast on the Illinois Fighting Illini. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome one, welcome all to another edition of Locked On Illini. Thank you all so much for making us your first listen each and every day. My name is Sonny Verma, your host here at Locked On, where I continue to provide you coverage each and every day. If you'd like to support the channel, I ask for nothing in return, but if you want to feel really nice, make sure you hit that like button. As of this recording, we are 2 subs away from 4,000 on YouTube. So if you are number 4,000, let me know in the comment section. So today's episode is going to be a short one. I do this on occasion on Sundays. It's just kind of day after thoughts. And there's a lot to think about when it comes to this Illini basketball team and the performance that they had in Mackey Arena on Saturday afternoon. After the game was over, in the evening times, whether it's Field of 68, all the national publications, all anybody was talking about was two things. They talked about the freshmen, and I'm not just talking about Keaton. I'm talking about AJ DeBonsa. 3 freshmen scored over 40 points yesterday. No one having quite the performance as Keaton did, of course, scoring 46 on only 17 shots. I'll get to him in a second. But the second topic was Illinois basketball. And this is not out of the norm, especially if you watch this show. I brought it to all of your guys' attention, right? Illinois brings clicks. Illinois will bring eyes. There's a reason that shows that are supposed to cover the entire Big Ten Conference or that are supposed to cover the entire national basketball landscape will somehow always sneak in 1 or 2 Illinois segments at minimum per week. Why? Because we're such a passionate fan base. Because we know we want to read everything. We want to hear everything. We want to watch everything that is related to the Fighting Illini. But on Saturday, the actual basketball team gave them a reason to talk about the Illini. In a lot of ways, I've talked about on this show in the last 2 weeks or so that I truly do think the best thing to happen to this Illinois basketball team was to have those 3 losses very early in the season. Now, granted, those are 3 very good basketball teams you lost to, but regardless, just having those 3 losses at the time took Illinois out of the spotlight a little bit. The national media, understandably, wants to focus on the teams that are undefeated, the teams that maybe have 1 loss, or just the teams in general that are the blue bloods that everybody wants to talk about. You would still have your mention of the Illini here and there, but there was no real talk about, is Illinois going to win the Big Ten Conference? That conversation was revolving around Michigan, around Purdue, and it was revolving even Nebraska as of late. But the impact that Saturday's win is going to have, or already has had, again, I'm sure I'm not the only Illini content that you're watching, right? When you're on YouTube, the algorithm kicks in. That's what happened to me yesterday. And I watched, it's embarrassing how many hours worth of college basketball recaps I watched last evening. But basically, everyone came to the consensus is, wow, this Illinois basketball team is really good. Purdue, a team, again, it's historically very, very difficult to win in Mackey Arena. Purdue came out and they gave you their best punch. They shot 63% in that first half. A team that at one point had the highest offensive efficiency ever recorded by Ken Pom, gave you their strongest first half performance of the season. And at halftime, they're up 4 points. Illinois took punch after punch in that first half, and they did not retaliate. Illinois took a lead in that second half. Purdue came storming right back in an atmosphere where a lot of these guys have not played in that sort of environment. This is the first time David Mirkovic, Keaton Wagler, a lot of these younger players have been in that hostile of an arena with the fan base. Keep in mind, before the season started, David Mirkovic said that the Eastern Illinois game was the roughest environment he's been in. Compare that to Mackey that he played. But despite a very strong basketball team giving you punch after punch, their strongest punch. Illinois never wavered. Their best player never wavered. Now, Keaton Wagler, I mean, what more is there to say about this kid? Ranked 260 some odd in the offseason. There was a lot of hype about him during the offseason. Even Coach Underwood drove me crazy. And like a fool, I came on here saying, I wish Brad wouldn't do this. He's setting up Keaton Wagler for expectations he can't possibly meet. And then the season starts. And not only does Keaton Wagler live up to the expectations that I said he could not possibly meet, Keaton Wagler has blown by those expectations. Over the past month, I've seen him in mock drafts, first in the second round, and then slowly starting to sneak into the second half of the first round. And now, last night, Saturday night, I saw people talking about him being a top 5 draft pick in the NBA. A kid who, again, went into literally the toughest environment in all of college basketball. And it's not one of those things where the environment tough, but the opponent isn't. Purdue's a very good basketball team. You could not have noticed the difference between Keaton Wagler playing Purdue at Mackey or Minnesota at home. The facial expressions never change. He is who he is. He is calm. He knows what to do, and he doesn't panic. It's unlike anything I've ever seen when it comes to a freshman. I've seen talented freshmen. I've seen arguably more talented freshmen. But at this point, Keaton Wagler has reached territories where it's getting hard to argue that he's the best freshman Illinois has ever had. And I can't believe we're having this argument 2 years in a row now. Shout out to you, Brad. Shout out to you, Orlando, Tyler, Jeff. But we're not there yet, but we're entering the territory where we have to discuss where Keaton's going to fall in the list of all-time Illini. With the season he's having and the season that this team is capable of having. His numbers aren't quite there amongst the other great seasons, individual performances, but when you take a look at his role on this team, this team is very deep. This team has a lot of players that can give you double figures any given night. And Keaton is the reason that this engine is rolling along the way it is. This team, Brad designed this basketball team years ago. A team that 5 out, shot 3-pointers, had length. The problem in previous years was he didn't have the players to do it. He had maybe 50% of the pieces, maybe some seasons 65, 70% of the pieces. But this year, you see the vision that Brad always had, and Brad's son always had, Tyler Underwood. Look, he's the offensive coordinator. I get some people aren't happy with the whole idea, maybe the nepotism angle. You've got to throw that out the window at this point. You know, not only is he the guy who found you, Keaton Wagler, but he's the guy that's behind this offense. The vision for this Illinois offense could become and has become. I mentioned earlier that at one point Purdue had the highest offensive rating ever recorded by Ken Pom. Well, that was surpassed on Saturday, and that was surpassed by this very Illini basketball team. This Illini basketball team now has the highest recorded offensive efficiency rating that has ever been recorded by Ken Pom. And sure, a lot of it has to do with Keaton Wagler, but just as much it has to do with Jake Davis. It has to do with David Mirkovic. It has to do with Tomislav Ivisic. If you haven't already, I beg you, if you are any sort of basketball fan, to go on your favorite social media, whatever it might be. I know I saw the video on X, so that's what I used. But go look up Mike LaTulip and him recapping the last 4 possessions of that Illinois-Purdue game. Mike LaTulip, I think, is the brightest mind in the game. It's just a simple matter of time before some school reaches out to him and he becomes an assistant coach somewhere. Anytime I watch Mike say anything, I know I'm clicking on that video because I'm about to learn a little ball. But Mike does such a fantastic job of kind of reviewing and showing you the chess match between this Illini offense and the Purdue defense. And the ultimate verdict was the Purdue defense was solid. They actually did a great job. However, they were just out-executed by an incredible offense, led by an incredible young player named Keaton Wagler. And Keaton only scored one of those buckets. It was a three-pointer to Tomislav. It was two three-pointers to Tomislav. You had Jake Davis. You had David Mirkovic at the end of the game. When Purdue finally decided to get the ball out of Keaton Wagler's hands, his teammates stepped up. And that tells you how complete of a basketball team this is. Moving forward, Illinois has a game against Washington this week. And then next Sunday, they're going to be facing off against the Nebraska Cornhuskers in Lincoln, a place that historically is very hard to win. And that's when Nebraska is bad. But moving forward, at this point, Illinois is going to go, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're favorites in that game. The national media has woken up. I saw people say that Michigan and Illinois might be the best team in the country now. That's the conversation that Illinois is going to be involved in moving forward. There's no creeping around out of the spotlight. Illinois is directly in the spotlight. There's conversations, is this the best team Brad Underwood has ever had? I think the answer absolutely could be yes. But now is not the time to slow down. You've got to take care of this game against Washington, because you know what? Historically, you're talking about, a trap game. Purdue, Washington, and then Nebraska. You would think Washington's the game that maybe they lack a little focus in, or they skip over, because you only have, 2 days in between Washington and Nebraska. You don't want to overlook the Huskies game. And for the first time in a very long time, I feel very confident that this team won't. And I talked about this on the post-game live. By the way, I had over 320 of you join me for that post-game live. Big shout out to you guys. I appreciate each and every one of the Locked On Illini community. But for the first time, all the preconceived notions I've had of Illini basketball and how that's a trap game or this is a trap game, it's all out the window. This team has as good of an opportunity as any to win a national championship. And it's time to acknowledge that. I'm no longer going to be sitting here and waiting for something to go wrong. That doesn't mean something won't go wrong. I'm not saying that. But we had Kyle Boswell out for a month, right? We got that news last week. A lot of us panicked. Hand up, me included. I came on here and said, there's no chance this team wins the Big Ten Conference. I'm telling you, I was wrong. That's not the last time I'm going to be wrong. But for me, the next step, the next part of the process for this season is going to watch how this team goes from being the hunter to being the hunted. Because as I kind of started off saying, Illinois has a brand name that everybody pays attention to. Every year, Illinois games are in the top 5 charts of most viewed games. It's a national brand, thanks to Brad Underwood and thanks to the success he's brought to this program. But from now on, the national media is going to be even more inclined to bring up Illinois, to talk about Illinois, to focus on Illinois. Because for the first time in a pretty long time, Illinois can back it up. Not only are they just talking about a particular team because they know it's going to guarantee eyeballs, they're going to talk about a team because they are a legitimate national contender. How's this team going to handle it moving forward? I don't know about you guys, but I'm just at the point where I'm not doubting them anymore. I'm not doubting Brad. I'm not going to doubt Keaton Wagler. I'm not going to doubt any of these players. But I'm curious, what are your guys' thoughts? All right, that's it for me. I'm recording this very early in the morning. I'm not sure when I'm going to release this, but my kids are still asleep. I'm halfway through the rewatch so I can get a player grades episode for you guys tomorrow. But, it's Sunday. Sit back, rest. Let me know in the comment section what are your guys' thoughts, not only about Saturday, but about this team overall. Okay, we got 11, 12 games left in the season, if that, off the top of my head. But what kind of vibes are you getting? Are you still nervous? Are you worried about Washington? Do you think it could still be potentially a trap game? Okay, that's going to wrap it up for now. Again, I'll have a new episode for you guys tomorrow. Until then, ILL. Love you guys.